Hey, this is Morgus, back with another exciting and monotone tutorial. Yay. Here we got our pub crawl bingo game that was invented by Clem Johnson and Gallium. It's actually a pretty fun game, get you very drunk very quickly, so only play this if you're 21 and over in the States or whatever your drinking age is internationally. What you do here is you mark a square anytime you see something on one of these squares in a public instance, and if you get a bingo, then you chug your drink. DrBlair provided the pin setup. I had a bunch of assistants trying to make the shader. I was never able to get the pseudo number generator I wanted for the shader, but was able to let you pick your card, so we'll get into that a little later. Appreciate the help from everybody that helped out on this project. So now let's dive right into this. Here we are on our GitHub. The link will be in the description, but all you really need to do from here is download this Unity package. And then we'll move over to Unity. I've already installed the package in my Unity, so let's start there. So here we are in Unity. I got my normal avatar here. You can use any working avatar you have. This avatar is already working, so make sure you got an avatar that's working before you start playing around with this. But all we really need to focus on in here right now is a few things. Quick thing to check that I've had some issue with is go over to your X, make sure the alpha transparency is checked, apply it if it's not. But let's go ahead and move over here to our bingo game prefab right here. Let's move this right up into our scene. This will be in the correct places. I have it in my avatar currently. You're going to have to move these around some, but I'll show you where to do that part. So let's start off first and play with the bingo card. So we open up the bingo game prefab and we got our bingo card right here. Let's move this bingo card right into the correct wrist. So this is on our left hand, so let's drop this right into our left wrist. Go ahead and break the prefab. So the bingo card is now on our left wrist. That's where it's going to stay. This is the point where you want to move the bingo card to where you want it. Put the rotation. You can play around with the size if you want here. Go ahead and get it right. Get it where you want it. So let's go ahead and associate a rigid body with this as well. So go over into your left wrist and add a component. Do rigid body. So we're going to want to turn off angular drag and turn off gravity. That's all we need to do right there. Now let's go over to our right wrist and put our crayon. So we take our crayon right here, move it over into the right wrist. This is the point where you're going to move it around and do your rotations and whatever you want to do to make it look right in your hand. Get it done. Then we're going to go over here to the right wrist and add another rigid body. Turn off use gravity, turn off angular drag. Now we have that set up. This is exactly where we want our stuff, for me at least. You may have to play around with it a little bit, but we got that set up. So now we're going to move into configuring our particle effect. Okay, this is where things can get a little more complicated. I'll try to take things slow for you. Make sure you can keep up as you work along with me. So the first thing we're going to do is set up our joints. The first joint we're going to set up is our parent joint. These need to be labeled exactly like these are up here. So in our right wrist, we're going to create an empty. Going to rename it parent joint, just like it is up there. Correct spelling, correct capitalization. So inside the parent joint, we want to put our fixed joint. Turn off gravity, turn off angular drag, and then we need to set up a connected body. So our connected body is actually going to be the wrist. Going to move the right wrist over here to the connected body, and then you can see if you click on it, it lights up the correct right wrist, and this joint is set up now. We want it to be positioned, rotated, and scaled exactly like it is here. All zeros, one for scale, right on top the right wrist. Now we're going to set up the child joint inside the left wrist. So again, create empty, rename it exactly like it is above, and then add your fixed joint. Turn off gravity, turn off angular drag, and then we need to do our connected body. Our connected body is going to be the left wrist. Move it there. You can click it, see it lights up the correct wrist. And now our two joints are set up. Now we're going to move our particle systems in. I'm going to move them just like they are from up here. So we're going to take our kill collider, move it into the parent joint. Take our X parent, move it into parent joint. These are going to be our writing and erasing locations. So The X parent is where you're going to write. So you want to put it right in on the tip of the crayon, like I have it here. And then you're going to have to move this around here based on your avatar. This is where you want to do the moving. So make sure you put it right there on the tip of the crayon. The kill collider is going to be your eraser. So I have mine on the back of the crayon. This is going to be where you want to move around your collider, put it right where you want it to erase at. So we have these two set up now. And they're all located right on top of that wrist. The location is right there, dead 000, scaled 1, right there on top of the wrist. So let's move over to the child joint. This is where we're going to write. This is a little bit easier. We're going to take our X child, move it into our child joint. And that's just going to be right on top the left wrist. We don't have to move it anywhere, just right on top where the child joint is. Look down here, make sure shader's working correctly, that you have the X here. If you don't have the X here showing, if it's just a blue blob, what we want to do is go over to standard shader, change our albedo texture to the X, so just drag it over here to the X, and then go right back to sprite default shader, and it should show up correctly there now. If it still doesn't, then you may have to go to the alpha transparency and apply it there. But that should do it at that point. So now we have our joint set up. So now we're going to have to do some setup in getting those joints to work correctly with each other. So we're going to take our parent joint, move it outside of the armature to your main directory. It'll drop down there below your meshes. And same thing with the child joint. Grab it, move it outside your armature to your main directory, and it'll drop down there as well. All locations stay exactly the same. We set them up before, they should stay the same now. So now you don't want to do any more moving. You did your moving before this point, no more moving anything around. If you need to move something around, move it back into the correct wrist, move it around, and then pull it back out. It works a lot better that way. So let's set these up. You're going to take your X child and move it into your X parent right now. We need to tie these two together. So go into your X parent, go to your sub emitters, and you need to set up your X child. If you don't do it this way, it'll give you an error. So you have to move your X child into your X parent so you don't get that error. So now you can take your X child, drop it into your sub emitters, and you can see that they link back up together. Now we have those two set up. You can move your X child back into your child joint, and they're set up to work together. So now we need to set up our triggers to erase. So we want to kill, and now we need to set up the collider we're going to kill. So we're going to go back to our kill collider. Make sure is triggered is turned on. We need to have that is trigger is turned on. Then go to your X child, and then move your kill collider over to your colliders. And it should be set up just like this. Kill, ignore, 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 and then a radius scale of 0.8. So now we have our kill collider set up to erase. At that point, the avatar is ready for uploading, but we not only want to do that, we want to select our bingo card. So part of this is I have 36 bingo cards set up in here. You can select several different ones of them. How you get there is you go to your materials, and you want to go to the bingo card. This is your texture for your bingo card. So you have your options. You can make a new sprite sheet to get different bingo cards in here if you want. If you want new bingo cards, you can create your own. I have 6 columns available on mine and 6 rows of different cards available on mine. So you can set them up any way you want as long as you get the right sprite sheet for this. So you got to set it. It's hard to explain. Just look at the sprite sheet, the texture that comes along with this, and you can see how there's just several along there. I have 6 across, 6 down. You can change the color if you want. If you don't like the white, you can set it to red, blue, doesn't matter. That'll set up your color. And this is where you actually pick your card. So I have it set up on row 4, column 3. You can go to 1, 1, and I'll change the card. 1, 5, we'll change the card. So just pick a random card you want. It's good to have different cards than everybody else, so 36 options here. Change it. Then you got your glow strength. This is how bright it's going to be in the world. So you don't need any kind of light source on it, it'll glow. I like to set mine at half value. It gives you a nice good glow and it's not overpowering. Now you're ready to set up your override. We need to get that override working before we upload our avatar. So I have mine set up here already. I'll show you how to do that real quick. It's just like setting up any other override. I even provide you the animation you need, this MarkX animation. So we're going to go to where my avatar overrides are at. Here, I got my override controller. I already have my MarkX set up on hand open. I find hand open works really well on Vive. This may be a little bit different for Oculus. You want to get something that's real easy to trigger without triggering it inadvertently. I know on the Vive, if you put it on a regular override like handgun, you'll trigger it when you're walking around. It's just aggravating. So on hand open, it's a good button press one to use, and that you'll trigger it when you want to trigger it. Just find the one that works for you. That makes it easy. That's the only animation you need, and then you go back into your avatar, and you can just drag and drop your override controller there, and you got it set up. If you don't know how to do overrides, you can check out my override video I've done before, but this will give you a good starting place. And that's it. You're ready to upload your avatar. I appreciate you watching the video. Would appreciate a subscribe, like, help me out, get some more tutorials going, give me some ideas. Also, I'd like to mention, the Pub Crawl has our own t-shirts now. You can come over here to my Spreadshirt. I'll provide a link in the description. But we got some mugs and water bottles and t-shirts, leggings, hats. It's a fun shirt. I don't get any money from the shirt. It's all set to 0 commission on my little Spreadshirt here. So just support the Pub Crawl any way you can. Show up, get drunk, be friends. Have a good one. See y'all later.